Okay, so all right, I'm not going to say where I had gotten this. If you want it, you could very easily find it, but I just want to make a disclaimer. Uh, in regards to this, do not harass the author of this game, even if this specific scene probably isn't the best. Um, all this is a fandom, and I just want to make that clear right from the outset. I'll probably also only release this after the Patreon, after the next public update, which will be released by the time I finish this video here. This is the Patreon version, just in case he decides to edit the public one. I don't know if he will, because we know the author is very persistent in saying that he's a masterful writer, but you never know. So as for context, this is the whore. She's also the one that was with the fucking audio in the back that completely annihilated me, but I'm not going to go back that far. So yeah, so now she's in this room with Kalian, or however you pronounce his name, because he and that Rannick dude got into a fight again. And so she's okay, fine, I'm not working, so tell me your fucking story. So tell me that story of yours. Which story? The one that's long and improper. Mama wants to hear it. Are you sure? I honestly don't have that much time, kid, so let us better not waste it. She sighs in mild annoyance, puffing another cloud of smoke away. I smile and nod, taking a deep breath and even dulper gulp from the cup. I begin, as I should, with me being naked and covered in blood at a tree in a forest to her mildly surprised expression, but she doesn't bat an eye. I explain everything that transpired in Tiernan, trying to leave out details that might put the tribe in jeopardy. The politics, the war. I just paint a good enough picture of everything that's related directly to me. But mostly I focus on my budding relationship with Rannick and my current gripe that I have with the wolf. I don't know how long it takes for me to cover everything leading up to our trip, but she seems interested enough for me to not to pause, nor is she interrupting me with questions. She just listens, taking in my comments with either a nod or a smile, intertwined with long puffs from her pipe. Finally, I relay the expedition of ours, which holds her captive, with her eyes gleaming in part with curiosity, but also slight envy. It seems she didn't get to enjoy much wholesomeness in her life. Either way, at first it's hard to get into the sexual details of the story, but she puts me at ease with a simple laugh and reminder of what she does for a living. I like how there's a whole bunch of grammar mistakes. This is no point in being coy or bashful in front of a prostitute. To be honest, scaring the details of my first time with Rannoch, even though it's more about what transpired immediately after, feels nice. Feels like a good type of bragging one does with his friends. In truth, telling her any and all of this feels really good, almost as if I unload part of the burden. But now that my story is done, I simply hope for an outsider's perspective. So that's pretty much it. I finish, dipping my lips in my chalice. He strung me along all this while only to drop the truth on me by accident. That is some serious entitlement you have, my boy. What? I mean, it's expected given your status, but still, nothing I can't fix. Let me tame this shrew. First of all, do you pleasure yourself? What? I blurt out in shock, my face slowly matching the burgundy of the port. Oh, shut it, kid. You're talking to a whore. I don't see any relevance. Of course you don't. I'm sure you have never rubbed on not only be suddenly hit with massive guilt. Oh my god, is she really using the post-nut clarity excuse? It's normal. She shrugs, her voice laden with pity. You have no idea how many guys I've had to console immediately after they were done. Half of my sessions end with tears. That doesn't make it any better. It's worse, in fact, that his son honestly comes from a post-orgasm feeling of guilt. You are really oversimplifying things, seeing the world in terms of black and white. The female scoffs, switching her crossed legs and pouring herself the last of the port of the bottle. Just because someone's nice to you doesn't mean they're sexually into you, and just because someone's sexually into you doesn't mean they're interested in you romantically. You're talking as if he owes you something, even though so far it seems you've been imparting enough care with nothing asked of you in return. But he promised. And do you honestly believe he never intended to keep that promise? Never. Don't you mean, and do you honestly believe he ever intended? I think he meant to write ever intended, not never intended, but Kale in like normal conversation can barely write like correct grammar, so she asked challengingly, raising one brow and forcing me to hang my head. Are you willing to sit here, look straight in my face, and say, it was all a lie? I closed my eyes, a frown taking over my expression. Maybe not. Maybe he didn't mean it once, but then he led me on. That's what you say, and truth be told, I've seen this over and over again. People ignoring the other person, who they are, what they want, what's important to them, just because in their little head they're the main character. Their life is a well-scripted play, the world a stage. Oh, everyone and everything must bend to them. They are the only thing that matters, and everything that ever happens, happens to them alone. I like how she's like she really is just Rule 63 Kale Tiger, just like lecturing her fucking audience. Her harsh words cause me to wince and a realization floods my mind. To this day, he thinks he's the one who's lost everything, but I was no better off. I was happy with him and we could have been together. I'm ignoring his pain, his suffering as if it didn't even exist. I have been doing that a lot as of late, and that realization makes my heart drop to my stomach. I'm no better off than Tano. I've been focusing only on myself. Of course you did, we all do, but there are times when we need to understand that other people have their own feelings and priorities. You are ignoring them for the sake of your own wants as proof that you're not mature enough for a relationship. You see someone attractive and think you want to be with them, and hey, they might even give you time of their day. But the moment their priority is the one they always had and you yourself decide to ignore, crop up and take first place as they ought to, suddenly you're being led on. That's not how the world works, honey. That's not how people work. And there it goes. A pit growing in my stomach suddenly turns into a void ready to swallow me whole. This character is a gaslighting avatar for the author. Holy shit, bros. Oh my god. I'm being chastised by a Rule 63 author avatar, but worse yet, she has a point. Does she? Does she? Okay, whatever you say. I'm not ready for a relationship, and neither is he. I'm lost, emotionally unstable, and very focused on any speck of happiness I can get in this miserable situation I found myself in. I've been putting my own needs above those of others, but why? That like completely broke me. Why the lies? Why pretending everything's fine when it actually isn't? Sparing the person you care for some pain isn't a slight. It's an act of kindness, even if misguided. Brutal honesty is just that. Brutal. Enacted without care for your feelings or strength to bear it. Friends who hide brutal honesties don't look for ways to build you up, but rather for means to knock you down. Yes. I sigh heavily, somewhat conceding to her point. But it's not entirely like that. He just doesn't treat me like an equal. He constantly admits stuff as if I were a child. And have you asked yourself what you've done to warrant such treatment? She looks to me with a slightly taunting smile. Respect is earned, boy, not given. If you truly believe he's malicious, I have no idea why we're even having this conversation. But it seems you've given him credit, which only means he's shielding you from the hard truths because he doesn't believe you can handle them. If that's the case, then that's on you to prove him wrong. And trust me, he will be glad for it. Why should I have to prove myself to someone who doesn't trust or respect me? I think that's going a bit far. He does trust you and respects you, just not in everything, I'd imagine. Her expression grows colder as she raises one brow and I nod reluctantly. With a mindset like that, you'll end up hurt and alone, with no one else to blame but yourself. That sort of domineering behavior will inevitably push someone away. I know I wouldn't be able to deal with that. That's why I ran off. It's better to be a whore than someone's afterthought. A distant knocking draws our attention towards the corridor. And that would be me, she says, correcting her dress and grabbing the empty chalices and bottle. Honestly, kid, if only everyone had a friend like yours to cry about, the world would be a happier place. You think I'm selfish? A little bit bratty, but given what happened to you, that's quite understandable, easy to forgive. If only you extend that courtesy to those around. A stranger saved your life, sheltered, clothed, fed you at great personal risk, showing time and time again nothing but kindness. I trust that person with my own life as they've proven beyond doubt to be good for it. Anything else is just you whining. But, see, your lips are moving, and you're about to complain again. Your lips are moving, and you're about to complain again. She winks, approaching the door, and I decide to help her open it, as her paws are full. Just as I'm about to turn the handle, I stop and look at her with one last thing I have to say. Thank you for listening and the good advice. Anything to stop that ear-splitting sobbing. The female smirks teasingly, but in all seriousness, I'm happy I was able to help. What about you? Don't you need help? I ask, wondering if perhaps I could somehow repay her kindness. You willing to take care of this one for me? She nods teasingly towards the door. He's a big, well-endowed leopard, bit sloppy and bet a generous lover. I laugh uncomfortably and she flashes her brow. Thought so. Your lightheartedness is inspiring and surprising. Are you really happy? You mean happy being a whore? Yes, it's my choice. I have a roof over my head, food on my plate, and drink in my glass. I meet people, so I'm quite interesting, might I add. She smiles wildly, and I can't help but blush at the veiled compliment. And I'm free. Free from my abusive that was quick. Free from forced marriage. Free to travel and go wherever the wind blows. The fake morality this world tries to impose on us is just another form of prison, one meant for your mind and body. I don't intend to be a prisoner ever again for as long as I live. Well said. I chuckle. I didn't expect this conversation to be this enlightening. You mean because I'm a whore? She mocks me, teasingly rolling her eyes and swirling the edge of her dress. That's when we both shudder slightly at the louder banging on the far-off door. I better go. He's getting impatient. Impatient customers tend to be less generous, both in coin and in bed. And with that, I open the door and she steps outside, leaving me alone with quite a mindful process. Oh, there you are, handsome. I'm sorry, I was just freshening up. Her voice echoes down the hallway. Fucking finally. Oh, ooh, yeah, no, that's the end of that. Yeah, that's the gaslighting scene. So make your own conclusions. This is the one that was released for patrons that people were freaking out about. And yeah, that character is literally a plot device to the point that she has no name. She's just called Whore. She is literally just a Rule 63 version of Kale that he put into the story as like a small side character that's not completely insignificant, but is at least like significant enough that she gave the main character a supposed good epiphany. But that is literally like she like all she exists for is for Kale to like try to manipulate and gaslight his audience into making them think that they were being ungrateful for reacting the way that they did to like certain plot points of this story. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Talk to you later. See you later. Bye bye. It was something. Bye bye. See ya. Game. Oh no.